It also didn't help that they had the Russian Express straight from Russia to Detroit. We have the Russian Olympic team and Stevie Y.
And now they have the German Olympic team, Moritz Seider, and Stevie Y. Well, that's not
Is
true.
Eiserman a German name?
I don't know.
I don't know what that. The man part makes me wonder where that comes from.
He's a Canadian name. Good
Yeah.
Canadian boy. Okay, we are back podcasting. We're down a man again. We're down a Dan. Down a Dan. But that's okay because Dan has children and that happens sometimes. So we gave Dan the night off. You're welcome, Dan. I'm not sure. Is he going to be talking above us this time?
I don't know. He said he might record something.
That'll be
But-
exciting.
If he doesn't, hi Dan.
Hi, Dan. Dan always listens. So our 15 viewers, some of them is Dan. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, 25 now.
Oh, wow. We're getting up there.
25.
We are a quarter of the way to our goal. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So we're going to try to talk about the Leafs. They had 2 games this week. And we're going to talk about some teams around the league as well. We had another commenter on our Instagram. Somebody you guys might know and love, Mr. Eric Desormier, who, if you didn't know, is actually my real brother-in-law now. Before it was fake brother-in-law. Now it's real. Got to put the ring on it sometimes, you know? Not on him. I almost picked the same ring as him, actually. Like, without even knowing. Like, I was picking out the ring, and then it's like, oh, yeah, we picked out a nice ring. Went and saw the family, and I saw his ring. I'm like, I almost picked that one. It was weird.
But you didn't get the one ring to rule them all.
I was thinking about it, and then Max was like, no. You might be a nerd, but we are not collectively
That seems like red flag number 1, Kyle.
one. Jesus. I think we're up to about 30. No.
Hi, Max.
Okay, so let's get the elephant in the room kind of out of the way. This week and last week, there was a lot of talk about the Chicago Blackhawks situation, and Kyle Beach came out as John Doe number 1 and had a pretty intense interview on TSN. We're not going to dive too deep into it because we are not the correct people to be talking about it. So we highly recommend that you watch the Kyle Beach interview with Rick Westhead on the TSN YouTube channel. I've also listened to Steve Dangle podcast where Rick Westhead talked on that one. Really gave me a lot of extra insight into what's going on. Gary Bettman and Bill Daly recently had a press conference on YouTube. Was it specifically on YouTube? I don't know. But
I was listening to on the Jeff Merrick show.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So now it's on YouTube, and Kyle Beach has, I think, had a couple other interviews and things. So highly recommend that you check that out. It is an interesting situation to say the least, and just not great for the league. And honestly, the fact that the Blackhawks haven't won yet is a little bit of justice there. So
Yeah. Instant caramel.
wait, what? Thank you, Craig, for segueing away from that topic. But definitely check it out. I really hope that more of these situations don't come out because they don't exist. I hope that's the case.
Yes.
Not
Yeah. That came up in the question period with the Gary Bettman interview today. That someone did ask him, this was 11 years ago and we're just finding out about it now. Do you think that there could be other instances of this happening since then? And he was kind of saying like, no, we've got all these things in place. We've got the hotline, all these places that they can reach out if there is this kind of situation that we've instilled over the last few years, this culture of letting people know, making sure that we know, make sure the bosses know, because that's the situation in Chicago. Apparently, ownership didn't know about this, that this needs to be reported. But again, this wasn't. So it could slip underneath the rug somewhere else, It's very possible. And I'm hoping if this is a situation anywhere, that these people now feel comfortable and that they can come forward and know that they can be heard. Because we're now seeing, that this is the time that before this goes out the 24-hour media cycle, this is the time to get these out there and make a real change.
Yep, absolutely. And another thing that recently, it just came to my mind right now, Gary Bettman or Bill Daly, one of the two, said, "Oh, we've been talking to Akeem Aliu and speaking with his representation, and we're really going to get the whole situation with him under control. And we've been investigating Bill Peters." And immediately on Twitter,
That took 3 years.
oh yeah, something
That was
like
3
that.
years ago.
But even worse, Akeem Aliu's representation tweeted right away, "We haven't heard, excuse me, we haven't heard from Bettman in over a year."
Oh Jesus.
And it's just like, guys, come on.
You can say all you want, but the facts are out there that you haven't been doing anything about it.
Yeah. So, as Sheldon Keefe always says, now is the time.
Now is the fucking time.
At least, because he likes to throw out those those F bombs.
I was gonna say that didn't sound like a Keith quote to me.
That's very true. Yeah. We need some beeps in there. Can you imagine? That would suck for Craig editing everything and just beeping everything. Oh my God, he swore again. Beep, beep, beep. My mom's gonna hate this.
Hi, Mom.
Got lots of shout outs in this podcast. But let's talk about the Leafs. We had 2 wins. Yay! They did it.
Go a week without winning, then a week of all winning.
Oh, thank God. Unfortunately, one of them was four games of losing and 2 games of winning.
Yeah.
But you
Almost the
never
same.
know. Wait, next week is against Vegas, Tampa, and Boston? Oh. Well, I guess that's the real test.
Yes.
That's the playoff test. Can we see these playoff habits? Well, let's talk about Chicago for a second. Down 2-0 early. And was this the game that Matthews reamed out Hall? I think it was.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah. And a lot of the media was like, we don't know who he's yelling at, what's going on. And then it was obvious that it was Hall. It's like, you got to go get that fucking puck or something. And I think it was warranted. Hall has not looked great. And
No.
maybe Muzzin hasn't looked great either because of Hall or just because of Muzzin going through some stuff or whatever.
Muzzin looked okay with Brody.
Oh, he did.
So-
In the second game against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Still with Chicago, though, I thought they played one of their best games, and there was no, messing around. It was just, we're going to play our system. We're going to fight through this. We're going to just keep pushing. They obviously had great possession numbers, and it seemed to work out. 1 goal in the second, 1 goal in the third, 1 goal in overtime. That's all it needed to have. Willie, what a goal at the end.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, this is mine, and I'm going to score, and that's it.
I also want to make a shout out to. Wait, no, it must have been the next game. Never mind. Cut this
Never
out.
mind.
That was the Detroit game.
We're shouting out next time.
Hi, next time.
But this was also the day after the report came out, or the day of, one of the two.
Yeah.
And thank God the Leafs won. If Chicago got their first win after that came out against the Leafs, this is the Leafiest of the Leaf things.
Yes.
So
I think we were saying in our group chat that, all this comes out for Chicago. They were missing Patrick Kane and a few other players because of COVID protocol. Of course, this was going to be the kind of game that Toronto would lose. So, way to go, Toronto, to not leaf it.
thank God they didn't leaf it. They also didn't leaf the Detroit game on Saturday. Really exciting.
Yeah, that was pretty close.
was-
that one was hairy.
That one was Harry. And if we didn't already know, because you guys are in our group chat, I called the score of the game before
Yes,
the
you
game.
did.
It was the best. Craig was like, yo, I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be 2-1. Dan's like, yeah, it's probably going to be 2-1. Maybe 3-1. Empty net goal. And I'm like, guys, 5-4.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I'm like, nah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this is a 5-4 game for sure. Hall, he got called out and something changed. So the pairings were Riley and not Brody, but Dermott on the right side. I think he's played exclusively on the right side this year. Muzzin Brody, which is a hell of a bearded shutdown line, and the kids, the Swedish kids, Sandin and Lilligren. Is Lilligren Swedish as well? I think so.
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome, good job, Kyle. What did you think of these D pairings?
Well, I thought that Muzzin scored. That's a good sign. We were saying before
Yes.
that he looked like he was struggling. So a goal is a good way to to show that you're doing better. I thought the Muzzin Brody line was pretty solid. I thought that the Sandin and Lilligren line, they looked good.
They
Now,
did.
they did start most of their shifts in the offensive zone. They did spend most of the game with Matthews' line,
Mhm.
which makes everything a little bit easier. But if you can confidently play those two with the top line and then put out the other two lines against everybody else, maybe with your third or fourth line that maybe isn't quite as responsible as having Austin Matthews out there. If you can run that bottom pairing with that top line, just let them go, put some gas in those tanks, and let them fire.
I thought they had great chemistry, the two of them. Obviously,
Yeah.
they played a lot together in the Marlies. Liljegren, I think, took some risks, but good risks this time. Like, it didn't seem like he was the odd man out or the young guy out there. I thought he was in the offensive zone. He was running around like Sandin. Like, he was really confusing
They were
the
really
offense.
getting up in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool. I think Liljegren had a couple chances in there. I want to say he got an assist on one of the goals. I can't exactly remember right now. But I thought those deep pairings worked out really well. I think the only weird one was Riley Dermott. That didn't provide as much confidence.
Yeah, you're right. I think it looked better than I kind of expected. Oh, excuse me. I think it looked better than I expected that it would.
Mhm.
But those two haven't played together all that much, and Dermott really hasn't played on the left side or the right side a whole lot before this season.
Right.
He had on and off. This is the first season he's played, specifically on the right side. And Riley actually had that nice break up the pass to, he kind of went through everybody, and then it led to that 2-on-1 and a goal. But of the three pairings, they looked the weakest, but I think they were playing some of the harder minutes, and it's hopefully just an adjustment period. Now, the real question is, what does this mean for Hall going forward? Because those other two lines, all three pairings deserve more time to be, to see what they can do. Now, can we sit $2 million in Justin Hall on the bench for an extended period of time? Or
in practice today, he was also the 7th D.
Yeah.
They were practicing like that again today.
So can they afford to have $2 million sitting on the bench or sitting in the press box with all the struggles they're going through with all the guys that lost off waivers? Or are they going to have to look at maybe trading Justin Hall? If they like these pairings that they have now, he's not the kind of guy that can sit. Sure, you can put $750,000 of Liljegren in the press box, but you can't have $2 million sitting there with this roster.
Why?
Because they have no space to do anything.
But you can
Every time
you can just sit him though, right? You don't have to send him. You can just sit him.
No, I'm not talking about him going through waivers. I'm just saying that you have $2 million of precious cap space doing nothing. 3.5 if you count Phil Kessel. But look at all these guys that they can't even put a 23-man roster out. They only have 21 guys.
Right.
And they've already lost 2 guys to waivers just because they don't have enough space to keep them on the roster.
Sure.
So if there's a short-term injury, we're going to be getting to the same kind of situation. Possibly. If there's someone on forward, Hall's not going to help that situation.
Okay.
So let's say tomorrow Nylander gets injured for 9 days.
Okay.
What do we do with that? Like, we can't call anybody up. We have no space.
Well, we just did. We got Semyonov and we got Joey Anderson.
I guess so.
They're called up for that reason.
We lost Amadio's contract as well. There's a little bit of space there, but it just seems like it's the kind of situation that they're going to get themselves into trouble. But I guess that place they'd have to put Hall in and do something.
Why can't they do a rotation? And I've thought about this. Like, yeah, it's $2 million to sit. Maybe, they try these new 3D pairings, and then maybe Hall gets in and Dermott goes down. Maybe it's Riley Hall, and maybe that works for a couple games. And then they throw Dermott back in and Liljegren goes back to sitting or something. There's more of a rotation happening.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Riley Hall again because they tried that last season a couple times.
Yep.
And I didn't think it looked very good.
It's two offensive guys
didn't
going.
seem to have any chemistry together.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what Riley Dermott will be like going forward over a couple more games
Against harder teams.
Yeah. Also, that last game was a bit of a scramble.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm just very curious to see what they'll do going forward. One game against Detroit, they looked, the 3 pairings looked okay, but this week is really going to show what those pairings are going to be like, against a stiffer competition.
My money is that they stick with it for Vegas, and if it doesn't work that game, maybe Hall comes back in, Liljegren comes back out. Maybe even Dermott comes back out. He's making, 1.7 something? Give me 2 seconds here.
We have Vegas,
1.5.
Boston, and Tampa.
And Tampa, yeah.
Ooh, see, those are the kind of games that you probably want Hall's size in there.
True.
Those are some bigger teams.
Liljegren's big guy, though, isn't he?
He's, I don't know. I don't think he's huge, but then again, last time I really looked at his size was back when he was drafted, and he's put on some pounds since then.
It looks like Lilligren got sent down. Maybe that's why everything's moving around.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Wait, Lilligren got sent down?
Well, I didn't see it on officially, but on Cap Friendly, he is not
He's
currently
not in the.
on the defense. Okay. Maybe this is the Cap shenanigans.
Okay.
All moving around day to day.
Everything's
sort
moving
of
day to
thing.
day. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
never mind.
We
But
can't really look at the roster until game day, I guess.
Yeah. I do expect that they go with the 6 that they did recently. I think giving Lilligren some looks is going to be really, really important. And we're going to talk about this later, but yeah, maybe Hall is on the chopping block. A couple more things about only Saturday's game. Mrazek came back.
Yeah.
What did you think about him?
He looked good most of the game. Still allowed 4 goals. I wouldn't put most of them on him.
I wouldn't either.
A few of them, maybe he could have had them, but I wouldn't necessarily. Like, there's the one that was Valeno scored because Matthews just seemed disinterested with defending behind the net.
Yeah.
There was the one that just kind of scooted past him. I think that was the final goal that just kind of got shoved past him on the far side. I think he looked pretty solid for most of the game, though. I think the 4 goals weren't really indicative of his play over the course of the 60 minutes.
Yep. Do you think he gets a game this week?
Oh, yeah.
None of them are back to back, though.
No, I think they brought him in to play 41 games this season.
Okay.
So they're going to be going back and forth with him and Jack Campbell unless, one goalie proves that he's super hot. Then maybe they'll run with him for a few more games in a row. But I still think at this point they're going to go back and forth game to game and just ride this tandem as a tandem because Campbell has been prone to injuries through his career. Mrazek has already shown that he can be injured this season.
Yep.
So not riding them too hard at any given point, especially early on now, I think it's going to be beneficial for, look at all the teams in the league. The best goalies are the ones that ride on a tandem. You don't see too many goalies playing 60, 70 games a season anymore other than Vasilevsky. Really.
Yeah, but that's in the season. You need a number 1 for the playoffs.
Yeah. And I'm hoping for the first half of the season, though, you're going to run more as a tandem, and then you'll start to see who's stepping forward. Then you'll see at actual 1A going forward at the end of the season, and then you'll see who's riding into the end. Now, then again, a couple seasons ago, Vegas went in with Fleury and Leonard as a true 1A, 1B, and...
Well, they did that both in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
First year was Leonard most of it, and then Fleury was definitely the backup when Leonard wasn't working, and then they lost. And the same thing happened with Fleury this past year. Fleury led them through 3 rounds. They threw in Leonard once or twice, and then they lost. So it's tough. There's no consistency there, right? Well, sorry, there's consistency that you have a 1A, but right when you switch, that goalie hasn't been in
I think
games
that's
that
why
count.
you're hoping that one guy will step forward for the season and become your 1A.
Yeah.
And that you can ride him in the playoffs. Because right now, with all things equal, Jack Campbell's our guy.
I agree.
He was fantastic last year in the playoffs. He had great numbers. He played, he was the best player on the Leafs for that entire playoffs. And I think just that was enough to give him, that 1A, even at this point, and it's only his to lose, really, unless Mrazek can, go lights out for the rest of the season. I think it's Jack Campbell's, is our 1.
Jack, he's our man. If he can't do it, great. No, that's not how it goes. No, Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, great. The only other time I saw a tandem, and it was more of a 3-way. It was a 3-way. We're going with that. Was Carolina? I think this past year they used 3 goalies. They used Mrazek. In the playoffs, right? They used Mrazek. I think they used Reimer for a game or 2, and then they used Nedeljkovic. I think it was all against Nashville in that first round.
That was a weird round.
It was a weird round. And then they played Tampa, I want to say, after that. I think it was Tampa. And it was actually Nedeljkovic that pulled forward.
Yeah.
And Mrazek was there for, I think, maybe the first game, and then Ned took over. And then Carolina's like, why don't we just switch out all of our goalies? Oh, wait, Freddie Anderson's going to be good? Great.
Should we talk about Freddie Anderson at some point?
At some point. It's on the list. Oh,
okay.
God. It's on my fantasy want list. This is definitely the last thing about the most recent game. Power play. We did convert
Mm-hmm.
but it was with power play 2. And I don't know if you remember this power play. I remember it very distinctly. Spezza, and I think I said it before, he's the QB of this power play. Everything goes through him. He had one shot, the puck came right back to him, and he did a slap pass to Bunting, and it was perfect.
Yes.
It was perfect.
That
I
was the
still
fourth
think,
goal, right?
yes,
I think?
yeah,
Yes.
probably.
Oh, yeah,
No, maybe third because the game winner was Marner's.
And
no,
that-
you're right. Yeah, go ahead.
And that was a great goal because as the goalie, you need to give Jason Spezza the respect that he's going to shoot that puck and that he might score. Whatever goal it was. Second goal, he said?
Second goal, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Oops.
It felt like it was earlier on in the game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that goalie needs to give him that respect. And, all credit to Jason Spezza that, he had his head up. He was looking shoot the entire way, but he knew that Michael Bunting was there. And, also, great credit on Michael Bunting to have his stick down and to be smart enough to be in that spot. And that's what we need to see. We need to see more goals coming from in front of the net. Because you get the puck there, and there needs to be someone there to take that shot. And Michael Bunting, so far, seems like he's that guy.
And I think they need to split up PP1 and PP2 because of that. I think Spezza and Bunting should go up to 1. Maybe Nylander and Tavares go down to 2. And then it's more of a 1 minute instead of 1.5 minutes, and then the other 30 seconds.
Geez, I'm almost thinking it should be Riley, Nylander, Matthews, Bunting, Spezza on the top line at this point.
And then Tavares, Marner on the second?
On the second one.
I'm okay with that. I dig that.
That's a pretty solid, that's a pretty balanced power play. And with the way that those other guys are playing on the second power play, they deserve to get more power play time.
And
someone needs to get Matthews going. Simple as that.
And I think Spezza can do that because if it all goes through Spezza, they're going to be just paying attention to Matthews and Nylander the whole time. They're going to get so caught up. Spezza's going to be like, I can do whatever I want. You're not coming for me.
And that way you've got another dangerous shot coming off that power play.
Oh, I think we figured it out.
All right, Dan, your job is to use that special call you have to Keefe and make this happen.
I think so. I think this is going to work. This is great. Well done.
This is the hotline that Gary Bettman was talking about, right?
Yes.
To call Sheldon Keefe for...
Wrong hotline. Jesus. If people didn't know, I won the bet. Yay, me. Because the Leafs...
Because we all lost.
yeah. The Leafs were 3-5 and then penalty kill, as in a good thing, meaning they let 2 out of 5 power plays, in. So 60%. That's not great, but it's okay. It's okay. So I said 82%, closer to that going over, but I was still the closest.
Still not good.
Compared to 85 and 90 or something.
Only 5 penalties in those 2 games. That's not terrible.
I'd go with that.
Yeah,
I didn't think
considering
about
how many games there are that there's 7 penalties calls against the Leafs, 5 in 2 games, like that. That's not bad.
Absolutely. And the last bit of Leafs news. Morgan Riley signs with the Leafs 8 times $7.5 million. What do you think about that number?
Well, I think the elephant in the room is who's got to go at this point.
Still?
Next year.
I know, but still, that number is low.
It is low.
Adam Fox got 7 times 9.5 today.
Oh, Jesus.
9.5.
Yeah,
Every other defenseman is up to
Norris.
9.5.
Yeah.
I know that, but Riley had a heck of a year once.
Riley definitely took a discount.
I could have gotten 9.5 in the open market,
Probably,
no problem.
At least 9.
Yeah.
But it really shows that Morgan Riley wants to be there. He believes in this team. He just as easily could have walked and not signed anything. So either it's going to be who's got to go next season to fit that cap space in, because there's still that's still an extra $2.5 million. And I was talking about Hall with this $2 million. There's somewhere that money's got to come from. And you look at the signings that Toronto makes every year to fill in, the extra gaps, there's not a lot of money there. Right now, I looked the other day, actually, Kyle, you've got how much cap space do they have right now? 70,000?
Well, they're in LTIR.
Who's on LTIR?
Mikheyev. So they're at 83 million right now.
Oh, okay. Does it say how much cap space they have? It's
0.
just 0. Oh, okay.
Or sorry, current cap space 109. Deadline cap space 109. Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of space right now, and they're going to have to re-sign guys or bring in new guys.
Yep.
And with that extra $2.5 million, there's a lot of things to fill in. Now there is a lot of guys that I think their contracts are up this year. Now I know
Not really, to be honest. So
Paul Mikheyev.
Kasha needs a new contract, but he's RFA. Engvall needs a new contract, maybe.
Hmm.
Bunting's 2 years. Simmons is 2 years. Spezza, obviously, but he'll sign for $1 if he can. Sandin, he's the big RFA, but Hall is still 2 years,
Oh,
like this year and next year.
so he signed a 3-year contract.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was only 2.
And then obviously Jack Campbell.
Yes,
And Mikheyev.
that's the other big one.
Mikheyev, yeah.
I just don't know where the money's going to come from. And I think they just hope that they can win a cup this year and make a trade in the offseason because they can't trade any significant amount of... I don't think they're prepared to trade any of the big players in the season.
No.
Unless
Off-season.
they can get one hell of a return.
Draisaitl.
Yeah, I guess so. DeBrincat?
Not good enough.
No?
Unless it's Nylander. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, but Nylander, his contract's too good and he's playing too well to be traded.
True.
Yes, that can mean that his value is high.
Yep.
But again, you have to keep the best players. And if that contract isn't debilitating, then I don't think it's that urgent to trade him right now.
Yep. Do you think this is a good move, or do you think they should have gone with what we said last week and Riley's the trade chip?
I don't think that's still off the table. Technically,
Technically.
he does have a contract. That does make his value even higher.
Yep.
It is a Vegas level kind of dick move to sign someone to a contract and then just trade them. But I'm not just saying if you wanted to be kind of a Lou Lamoriello, work around the rules. Technically, that's there.
Okay.
His value is never higher than it is right this second.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I think it's tough. I think they might have jumped the gun, but also maybe Riley's camp said, hey, it's discount time. Like, you want me? I want to be here.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And they said, yeah, let's go discount. Let's do it. There's you're not going to get a better defenseman at that price around the league.
No.
And it's at that price.
Especially if they're going to try to sign someone in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they made the right move in terms of the price. I'm not sure they made the right move in terms of the personnel because I think this team needs a shakeup unless they really have a deep run this year. If they make second, if they make the third round, oh my God, praise Jesus.
But again, how do they do it then? If they only make it to the third round, how do they do it next year? If they've got, I think it's 58% of their cap on 5 players.
Right.
And then we still need to re-sign Campbell, assuming he has a good year.
Yeah. Of all the people to take a discount, I feel like Campbell's the guy.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe, unless his agent says, you shut up, Mr. Positive.
Yeah.
We know you will sign with this team for 8 years at $750,000. Yeah. Nobody else wants that.
850,000 gummy bears.
Yeah. Hi, I will take all of my contract in positive energy. Or Kyle Dubas's glasses. Or, what is it? Not a shawl. That's a female version.
Cardigan?
Cardigan. That's the
Yes.
one. That's the one.
I will take Dubas's cardigan collection.
Yeah. Okay, so
This is why we're not hockey players. We're terrible at negotiations.
absolutely. I negotiated my contract and I said I'd do this all for free. You've already mentioned that Hall is probably on the chopping block, and I would agree, and I think a lot of teams see value in him. Like, it's $2 million right-handed defenseman for 2 years. Why not? Nick Ritchie on the chopping block?
You know what? I didn't think he looked that bad in the Detroit game. He had some good moments. I think he had the screen on that Bunting goal.
Yep.
He feels like he fits in better in that lower down, somewhere lower down the lineup. He's making $2.5 million. That makes that a little bit hard to stomach.
Yes.
But seeing the pressure off of him, I think if Matthews gets going and he's scoring goals in bunches, then maybe you can put Ritchie back up with him.
Yeah.
If he's showing that he can get the puck in the net. But the problem is right now, I think you just need to do everything we can to get Matthews going.
Mm-hmm.
And having Ritchie beside him right now just doesn't seem like it's working.
Right. Yeah.
Do I think that Ritchie is on the chopping block? I don't know where he would go, except for the minors. I don't think he's got any value to trade right now.
Maybe trade deadline stuff because
Maybe.
that's what you need going into the playoffs. But maybe that's why we picked him up.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like we talked about the regular season, and then we don't consider who's a playoff player,
Right.
because we don't know what a playoff player is anymore.
Well,
At
it's
least not
the,
in
it's, the,
Toronto.
it's the hard, in
It's
Toronto, sure. It's the hard hitting
Big,
guys,
heavy, hard.
you know.
But we haven't really seen that all that much from Richie yet.
Right.
So unless he can show that he's actually going to play that role at some point, then
He tried that one game. Simmons dropped the glove. He's like, me too. And then nothing happened. Engvall chopping block, maybe? It's 1.25 off the books, maybe.
I have actually liked the way that he's looked on the Conf and Kasha line.
I'd agree.
That line has looked really good.
Looks like an angry giraffe out there.
He does. My new nickname for him is just Raffy.
Like Torres?
No, G Raffy.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes. So I think that if he can really settle into this role well and be a defensive third line shutdown guy, that he can stay in the lineup. Again, unless they can get something, unless it's a trade that they just can't pass up. But I think at his contract right now, if he can be a solid third line shutdown guy, I think he has a spot in the lineup.
Okay.
I don't think he's as good of a center as he can be as a wing, but I think Comp is just making him look better, which is great.
Oh, he's the guy.
Yes.
He's
I now
exactly
see
what we needed.
What they were raving about in training camp about him.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Does that potentially make Kerfoot a little more expendable too?
Yes.
Because he's 3.5. If you put him on the third line, that's an expensive player on the third line.
Unless he's taking second line left wing.
Which he is
First
right
line left wing? Yeah.
It's
Something like
Tavares
that.
is always second line.
He looks way better on Tavares' wing than he
Yes.
ever does as third line center.
I agree.
And if he can stay there and continue to play well, he scored the other night. If he can continue to play well there, then I think he doesn't necessarily need to be traded. And this is where it makes it really difficult. If guys continue to perform and play, it makes them really much harder to trade.
Right.
Because you don't want to be trading a guy and taking a strength off your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we even
No good answers.
saw the trade deadline last year. No major pieces were traded.
Yeah.
It was just picks and finagling the cap and bringing in guys and just potentially sending guys down or making them sit or taxi squad or whatever sort of stuff.
I think also last year was just so hard to get any sort of players up and move anybody around that the trade market just wasn't quite the same as it would be most years. Like guys you may have traded for, like in a normal year, that you just bring up and they can fit a depth role. You didn't necessarily want them sitting for 7 days. Like a guy like Nick Foligno who can make a big change that you thought could make a big change was worth that kind of thing. But yeah, I think this year is just gonna be a very different trade deadline than it was last year.
Who would you have preferred? This is a absolutely rhetorical question.
Foligno?
No.
Okay.
Richie or Foligno?
This year?
Right now.
Foligno. Even injured.
Even injured. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
for the same cap hit. I think Foligno got $1 million more to go to Boston, and I think he's maybe on the IR right now. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not playing.
He's injured again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
We did put up a little audio bit on Instagram about the Riley re-signing, and we had one of our buddies, our brother-in-law, all of us.
Our pod-in-law.
Our pod-in-law. Nice. I like that. Welcome, Eric, to the pod-in-law life. Wow, rambling. We asked, were we right last week that the Riley trade should have happened instead of a Riley signing, and he thinks that Riley should have been traded. I'm putting him on the spot right now. We'll definitely have him back to defend himself later as the Leafs face the Habs again, I'm sure. He said, sure, he's a damn good D-man, but this contract seriously handicaps the Leafs. Handicaps the Leafs cap-wise. Unless one of the big names go, they have to win with the players they have now, and I don't think that will be good enough. Okay. Teams that rely on pure skill to win do well in the regular season, which is definitely true. Where's mine?
I was gonna split this.
Okay, that's fine.
You
No, it's fine. We're getting beers here. Pure skill regular season, great, but they get caught in the playoffs, which has definitely happened to the Leafs these past couple years. I think the new generation of team is winning by committee. And I would agree with that to a point for sure. And he says like the Islanders and the Hurricanes and Golden Knights amongst others. However, I think Tampa does a bit of both, and they've been very lucky with their cap hits and things like that. And like points just signed for 9.5. Like any other team, he's 11 probably.
Yeah.
Um, 4 lines that can compete and work hard every shift. You can't win in today's NHL with 2 or 3 elite players and a bunch of third or fourth liners to fill out the rest of the lineup. I don't know. Chicago did a great job with that. I think, Kane and Taves and then everyone else around them were solid. Maybe Keith and Seabrook were good, and they went through 2 goalies to 3 Stanley Cups, right?
Yeah.
So, and he also mentions at the end, because he's a very modest guy, that the Habs at the time were 2-7-0. So and they're definitely trying to play by committee for sure. They have a couple stars up and coming. Unfortunately, they don't have their best star of Carey Price. But Craig, what do you think about this by committee versus skill and top players that Eric's talking about?
I'm just gonna get one quick rub in against the Montreal Canadiens, and this season they really could use the goal scoring of Tom Tatar. they could really use that again.
Yeah,
but I actually agree.
Yeah,
that it is really difficult to win with such a heavy top loaded lineup, because as we saw last year, Marner and Matthews dried right up, and we just didn't have the balanced scoring throughout the rest of the lineup. They tried it, but they just don't have the firepower down the lineup. Now look at Tampa. Like, look at their third line. They're now running first lines around the league.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by having that committee, by having such a deep lineup, by guys taking contracts that they know can actually help their team.
Yeah.
Like, look at Tampa. What's Hedman making? 8.5, 9?
I don't even think that much. Give me a second.
Oh God, yeah. Like, by guys knowing that by taking a little bit less money, like, you're already making $9 million. What's the extra 2? That knowing that means that your third line is going to be deeper, your fourth line is going to be deeper, your third line or your third pairing is going to be stronger, by having just that little bit of extra money to have a little bit more flexibility to bring these guys in. I really want to see the Leafs win with the lineup that they have, but I can now see with a couple of years of experience that, oh, you're giving me that look. That it's going to be very difficult for them to win with the depth that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Hedman, 7.875. Took a discount for sure. So that's like Riley-ish money, but Hedman, I would say, is way better, even a couple years older. Stamkos, 8.5. Point is still on his bridge deal right now at 6.75, but next year is 9.5. Obviously, Kucherov went for 9.5. Vasilevsky, 9.5. So, like, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4 players just under 10. Similar to the Leafs, okay? The Leafs went a little bit more than that.
That's next season?
Next season.
Okay.
So that's Stamkos, Point, Vasilevsky, and Kucherov, 9.5 or 8.5. Hedman, 7.875. McDonough, 6.75. And he's sometimes a third-line guy.
Yeah, but again, he's that leadership thing, and I don't think that's a contract they signed, was it? He came from New York.
Correct. He did.
Yeah, if he signed that with Stevie Y, it would have been 3.5.
Absolutely. But I don't know. I don't think the Lightning are too far off the Leafs. I would say they're $3 million less than the Leafs.
You know what? I think you're right. I think the biggest difference is Tampa is so good at drafting, and they were able to fill in these guys that are on small contracts. They don't need to bring in guys to sign because they have a constant flow of solid draft picks in their organization that they can slot in for league minimums or on bridge deals. Like, even Braden Point, what's his bridge deal? It was
6.75.
Yeah, like, that's not 11.5 with Marner. Like, sure,
Right.
Marner had a couple good seasons, but he hadn't really done anything yet.
Yeah.
And for those guys to be making $11 million right off the hop, like, it doesn't really give you any space to, build from there.
Maybe that was part of the plan. They knew they would not be competitive for the next 4 years. So they
The
said,
Leafs,
guys, the Leafs. They said, guys, we're still going to commit big money to you. Then, like, you got to commit back later. Maybe it's a later thing. That could be, I don't know. Okay, so I just
sorry, I just want to
Go
go
ahead.
back on what you're saying there. That you think that it might have been in a couple of years they think they'll be competitive. Then why would you keep all these own rentals through the playoffs, thinking that you can keep
Okay.
going far?
Okay.
If you're thinking 3 years, your time that you're going to be competitive, why would
You're right.
you just let JVR walk and Bozak and Hyman and Freddie Anderson and all these guys that you're keeping on your team because you're thinking this is the year that we can win? If you're also thinking in 3 years will be when we can win. That's when you want to be trading these guys 4 draft picks, get as many shots at that dartboard
Yep.
to try to get something like Tampa that you can actually, use that draft capital to build your team that way.
Yep.
Instead of trying to sign guys like Nick Ritchie for $2.5 million, where you can bring in someone like Joey Anderson maybe and see what he can do. I saw that he got called up. Maybe
Got called up, yeah.
this is the time to give him a shot.
Now is the time.
Yeah.
One last thing on Tampa. We did mention in one of our podcasts that the third line for Tampa is completely gone. Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow, and Blake Coleman.
Yep.
Completely gone. I'm looking at the percentage of who played in the last 3 games. Looks like first line is Point, Cirelli, Killorn. Not bad. I know you don't know one of those names, but that's okay.
What?
Never mind. Stamkos, Matthew Joseph, and Andre Palat seems to be the second line. And then third,
Not a bad second line.
it's not bad. Matthew Joseph is coming up.
He's up and coming. Yeah.
Just picked him up in fantasy. What a pickup. I don't know which is the third and which is the fourth. So the next most percentage is Barboulay, Radish, and Pierre-Edouard Belmar. That might be a fourth because Barboulay is
He's been waived.
he's
twice on
a
2
prospect.
different
I
teams.
guess. Yeah. Did he get waived back?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, he got waived and picked up by
He got waived and picked up by Seattle.
Seattle.
And then he must have got taken back to the
then
Lightning.
he was waived again by Seattle and taken back by Tampa.
Interesting. And he's playing, so I don't know
Yeah.
why Seattle. And then Ross Colton, Corey Perry, and Pat Maroon. I'd say that's probably the third line, or at
That's
least
your
what they're
grind
trying
line,
to.
for
That's
sure.
your grind line. That's not.
Honestly, these days, 1, 2 lines, 3, 4 lines, there isn't a huge difference between them.
Sure. But neither of those 2 bottom lines were anything near Gord, Coleman, and
Oh God,
Gaudreau.
no.
And all those guys were brought in via trade. I don't know. Sorry, Yanni Gord came up through the system,
Yeah.
but the other 2
But
via
they
trade.
were still on
Good
lower
contracts.
at that point. Yeah,
and they both cost a first.
They did. They had to pay a lot to get them
Yep.
because they knew that these were guys that were value deals.
Yep.
So, like New Jersey knew that Blake Holman was going to be a effective part of the team, and that he was still on a fairly small contract. That's where your value is. That's the time to sell on that and get that first round pick.
So, Eric, yes, by
Committee.
committee.
Yeah.
But Tampa, I think, has done something similar to what the Leafs have in the past couple of years. They just, wow, they know how to draft and develop. Wow, they know how to make those good trades and spend those draft picks when needed.
It also doesn't mean that Toronto can't win by committee. It just means that those other guys really need to step up.
Yep.
And show that they can really contribute and score by committee.
Well, they don't have a chance if Matthews and Marner and them don't get their shit together.
Unless the bounces start going their way.
Yeah, definitely some bounces. Kerfoot and Tavares didn't play bounces. They played skill against that Detroit game. That was awesome. Okay, that's enough about the Leafs. We got, oh my God, we're at 45 minutes. That's pretty good. A couple other teams. Quickly, the Habs sent down Cole Caulfield. Oh my God. Didn't expect that to happen.
He hasn't spent any time in the minors yet.
Yep.
And yes, he was one of the top players in the U.S. College League,
Mhm.
but he really hasn't had that time to develop as a pro yet. Yes, he's a top level player, but I think with Montreal not doing well, that this is a smart move. Don't rush him. Send him back down. Give him a little bit of time to get some confidence again. Develop his game. and then come back with a vengeance.
Another guy that is going up and down to the minors and to the majors is Philip Gustafson of the Ottawa Senators. Now, I've talked about this guy a bunch, not only because he's in my fantasy pool, but because Rob mentioned him, our resident Seds fan, a couple times, and he's gone up and down because Murray has been injured or not, and now he's gone back down again after getting 2 really, really good showings and 2 good wins against some difficult teams. I think this is a guy that shouldn't be sent down. Now, they may have to because he's waiver exempt and they need to get Murray in and things like that, but maybe some kind of trade needs to happen or get Forsberg out of there so that Gustafson can come in.
Well, obviously, they think that Gustafson is getting good experience playing for Belleville.
Okay.
If he's not getting the good minutes, then, yeah, they get him the NHL minutes, but I think they really want to try to get Murray kickstarted and going.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of money contributed, tied up in Murray.
Yep.
And if they can't get that engine running, then they need to consider moving on from him. And right now, because Gustafson is waiver exempt, he's the guy that you want to be sending up and down. Now, the problem is if they were to trade other backup goalie.
Anton Forsberg?
Forsberg, thank you. Waiver guy. If they were to get rid of him and bring Forsberg, my God.
Gustafson.
If they were to bring Gustafson up and have him as the backup, he's just going to be sitting on the bench. He's not going to be getting game minutes in the same way.
Oh, I think he takes the reins from Murray, though.
But you've got too much money tied up in Murray to have him sitting on the
bench.
bench.
But Bobrovsky did it last year, too.
They should. But it's pretty easy to get from Ottawa to Belleville. Like, it's not a long trip.
True. Okay,
you
that
can
one.
Send him back and forth pretty easily. Get him as many minutes in the net as you possibly can.
Sure.
So if Murray's going to be in net, you're playing in Belleville. Easy as that.
And save him, use the waiver exempt while you can, because at least right now, the Sens are second last in the Atlantic. They've only played 7 games versus the Habs 10 games. And, I don't think they're going to compete for a Stanley Cup. They might compete for the playoffs.
Oh, maybe.
But probably not a Stanley Cup. So Gustafson maybe more of a long term. Yeah. Same. Okay, fine.
Just like every goalie that every team tries to rush.
Yeah.
Like eventually if something goes sideways, they just don't have that foundation of, those minutes played, and they just kind of start getting in their own heads, and that's where you start ruining prospects. But by having him come up, have some success in the AHL, get him minutes, that you're going to build that confidence in him, and then hopefully next year, the year after, he's going to be your 1B easily, beside hopefully a solid Murray.
Speaking of goalies that maybe sometimes come up too fast and get in their head, Carter Hart having a bit of a bounce back year, a little bit. You want to know who's having a crazy bounce back year? Martin Jones.
Yes, I did hear about that.
He's had 2 big time starts. He's definitely the backup. Carter Hart's number 1. It's not back and forth. It's not a tandem. But the games that Jones has played, shut the door. I did not see that coming at all. And they paid a significant amount for him as well. So good for him. Good for him.
And speaking of Martin Jones, going back to the San Jose Sharks, they're having a good start to the season as well.
Mainly because of their goalies.
But they are scoring a lot of goals. And they seem like I heard someone saying that they look like they're having a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And they're wondering if it might be that addition by subtraction of Evander Kane.
Okay.
He seemed to be a distraction, and with every team that he's been with up to this point, he's just been kind of run out of town. So they seem like other than the goalies, they're pretty much the same roster except for Evander Kane. And guys seem to be stepping up now.
Yeah.
So it might have been something, we talk so much about locker room culture. And maybe just by not having a personality in the room, it might be all that they needed.
Speaking of distractions, the Blackhawks still haven't won.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Nobody cares about that. Arizona still hasn't won.
That's not surprising.
Now they're bad. They're bad.
Yeah.
But also their lease is running out on Glendale. They're going to potentially be moving to Tempe. I don't know any of these cities. Neither of them are Phoenix, that's for sure. So
that's why they're the Arizona Coyotes, right? Because they just play in every single city in Arizona.
They just go for it. They're just like, okay, we're in the desert. Anyone got a rink?
Now,
sure.
Is there any Coyotes in Houston?
I don't know.
Anybody? So if there's anybody listening from Houston, please say in the comments whether or not you have coyotes in your neighborhood because they are looking for a new home.
Houston would be so much fun. My God.
Yeah,
Dallas was fun. Dallas was fun. Not a lot of
that would give them
hockey
a really
fans,
good
but yeah.
rivalry, though.
Oh,
That
that'd
would
be great.
that'd be worth to go see.
Who is Dallas's rival right now? Nashville, maybe? No.
I don't think they really have one.
Buffalo. It would have been Buffalo, but Buffalo sucks because of that 1 year
Oh well,
foot in the crease sort of thing.
okay, that was 22 years ago.
Hey, that 1 year when Buffalo was good.
Yes.
It's been that long. So those guys haven't won yet. Maybe a bit of outside pressure. Great segue, Craig. Teams that haven't lost yet. Panthers have their first OT loss, I think, at the hands of Boston.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull up their cap friendly. It's insane.
I think that Barkov is going to finally get the recognition that he deserves in this league. Hopefully, by Florida having a good season, and with the NHL finally having a good television provider in the States with ESPN, they are doing some great coverage down there. I'm really glad to see that they're working to grow the game. They have hired some really great writers on ESPN. So hopefully with things like that, some of these guys like Barkov are going to get the recognition around the league that they deserve because he is a fantastic player, and it really doesn't surprise me that they're doing really well this season.
And Barkov getting $10 million next year, starting his big contract that he absolutely deserves.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Reinhart, that was a big trade in the offseason. He's lighting it up. Barkov, we just mentioned. Huberdeau. Patrick Hornquist still sticking around. He's won a couple cups with Pittsburgh. Sam Bennett, a resurgence from him. Maybe he was just needed the sun instead of the cold in Calgary. Duclair signed a solid contract and is doing really, really well. Aaron Ekblad having his best year so far. At least he started having his best year last year, got injured. He's continuing having his best year this year.
I'm glad that Ekblad is back and playing well because that injury last year was pretty hard to watch, I have to say.
Something I just noticed, Ekblad makes $7.5 million. Maybe that was a comparable for Morgan Riley.
And he's younger, too.
25. Yeah. Mackenzie Weegar, up-and-comer. Gustav Forsling not doing too bad. And obviously, the guy that's really holding them is Bob Bobrovsky.
I thought you were going to say Jumbo Joe.
Unfortunately, injured right now.
Oh.
Yeah, too bad. That's what happens when you're 42 playing hockey.
Yes, with no original knees.
But Bob, he's shutting the door. He's like, I decided to play hockey.
Bob has decided to be Bob again. This is just what Bob does.
This is what he does.
He is a AHL goalie, Vezina, AHL, Vezina, run out of the league, Vezina.
Absolutely.
Speaking of guys that might win the Vezina, Merzlikins in Columbus, he is on a mission this season.
He's on a mission.
He is on a mission from God. To quote the Blues Brothers, he's on a mission from God.
He's on a mission from his angel buddy.
Same thing.
Kivs Lincolns. I can't remember his name, but probably.
Maybe we should try.
I bet you there's a little bit of motivation for there. I would say Florida is one of those by committee teams.
Yeah.
Barkov is a superstar, but doesn't get that recognition. I think that's a by committee kind of person. Similar to a Bergeron, maybe.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Excellent. Other team potentially by committee that also has not lost a game, the Carolina Hurricanes. Freddie Anderson deciding to have an actual October as opposed to whatever he used to have in Maple Leaf land. Sebastian Aho is the highest paid forward. He's making 8.5-ish. Thanks, Habs. Svechnikov just started his 8-year 7.75. What the heck? That's not that much.
Carolina is the opposite of Toronto.
Yeah.
They go, we are setting a limit of what we're going to pay you. And if you want to go over that, there's the door. Because we are going to be, by committee, we are going to have 4 balanced lines.
Yep.
No one is getting overpaid and taking away from someone else who is going to be able to contribute on the team. And like we saw with Ned this season, he was looking for $3 million, and they said, nope.
That's
bye.
Weird. That's so weird.
That was weird.
And he's
Dougie
ripping it up in Detroit.
Yeah, like Dougie Hamilton, who was the biggest free agent defenseman this year in the offseason. They just go, sure, you're probably the best defenseman that we have, but nope, bye.
But we can get dirtbag Tony DeAngelo for $1 million, and he can put up a shit ton of points.
Yeah.
He's doing really well in Carolina, but I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. No.
But they've been like churning out defensemen for years. I feel like the Dougie Hamilton one, not so bad. Nedeljkovic, weird, but they nailed it with Anderson somehow. They must have the goalie coach of the year.
I thought that was the Islanders.
Also them. Can you guess who the third highest paid player on the Hurricanes is?
You said the first was Aho.
Second was Svechnikov.
Second was Svechnikov. No.
Kakanyemi.
Ah, yes, of course. That makes sense. Their third line center.
6.10035.
2-0.
Yeah, probably 2-0 or whatever it
right?
is. He's getting paid even more than the captain, just 100,000 more than the captain. Definitely by committee. Eric, you might be onto something, man. Comment down below if you think Eric is correct that teams are winning more by committee than by pure skill.
And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, go to Instagram and comment.
Yes. Don't forget 5 stars. Five stars. Even if you don't think so.
Or just comment to a friend. We don't care what you comment, honestly.
Yep. Well, that was fun. In person. We haven't done that one in a while. By the way, this has been in person. Anything else on the league or the Leafs?
Buffalo's still winning.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Detroit-ish.
Yeah, Detroit.
Still up there.
That's just the weirdest one. Beyond that, it's a weird year so far. Looks like things are starting to even back out, though.
Yep.
Over the last week, those teams that really struggled that we thought would do well have really turned around. Have we talked about Calgary yet? Did we talk about Calgary?
We're at an hour, so we'll skip them for another.
Perfect.
See if they keep their streak going. I do want to make a bet, and Dan can get in on this after the fact. We got 3 games, like we mentioned. Vegas, Tampa, and Boston. And I think we've done a bet like this before, but I think it's time. How many goals does Matthews score? Closest without going over. I won, so I will go first. 3 games, I'm going to say 3 goals. I think he's going to finally get his stride.
Jeez, if he gets his stride, it's going to be 5.
Okay. And bet you Dan takes 1.
Yeah. I'm going to say 5. Yeah.
Okay. And Dan, we'll see if he goes with 1 or 9. Can you imagine? 3 hat tricks against those teams?
Oh, God.
That'd be insane. That'd be the best days ever.
Only Zach Hyman can do that this season.
Yeah, fantasy hockey. Yay. Yeah, it's not Go Leafs Go. It's yay, fantasy. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow on all your favorite social medias and website, LeafsFansAndHostileLands.com, Maroni. And Go Leafs Go.
Go Leafs Go.
Dan said it too in our heads.